Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, where we uncover the chilling truths hidden in the shadows. Tonight, we revisit a case that shattered the illusion of privilege and wealth. The Menendez brothers, a brutal crime that left a nation in shock. Could a different turn of events have changed everything? Stay tuned, and don't forget to answer this week's interactive clue. Clue question: what key piece of evidence led detectives to suspect the Menendez brothers? Why? On the night of August 20th, 1989, the quiet affluence of Beverly Hills was disrupted by gunfire. Jose and Kitty Menendez, successful, wealthy, seemingly untouchable, were found murdered in their opulent mansion. What initially appeared to be a botched robbery soon unraveled into a horrifying tale of secrets, betrayal, and fratricide. It was just after 10 at night when a frantic call shattered the silence at the Beverly Hills Police Department. On the line was a young man, his voice strained with terror. "Someone killed my parents!" Responding officers arrived at a harrowing scene. Inside the mansion, the bodies of Jose and Kitty Menendez lay sprawled in the family room. Jose, a powerful entertainment executive, had been shot multiple times, including once at point-blank range to the back of the head. His wife, Kitty, was riddled with bullets, so many that her face was nearly unrecognizable. Blood soaked the Persian rug beneath them, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder and death. Lyle and Erik Menendez, the couple's two sons, were found outside, inconsolable and trembling. They told officers they had returned home from a movie, only to find their parents slaughtered. The house showed no signs of forced entry. No valuables were missing. But something about the crime scene gnawed at detectives. It was overkill, personal, emotional. Had a ruthless hitman executed the Menendez couple? Or was the killer someone much closer? Jose Enrique Menendez was born in Havana, Cuba, in 1944. He grew up in a privileged family, but the Cuban Revolution forced his parents to flee to the United States when he was just a teenager. Determined to rebuild his life from scratch, Jose attended Southern Illinois University, where he studied accounting and met his future wife, Mary Louise "Kitty" Anderson. From an early age, Jose displayed an unmatched drive for success. After earning his degree, he worked his way up the corporate ladder, quickly becoming a powerhouse in the entertainment industry. He held high-ranking positions at prestigious companies, including Hertz, RCA Records, and eventually Live Entertainment, where he played a critical role in producing and distributing major films and music. He was instrumental in launching the careers of several artists, including signing Duran Duran to RCA in the early 1980s. Colleagues admired Jose for his business acumen. He was a visionary who understood the mechanics of the entertainment industry. However, those who worked closely with him often described him as ruthlessly ambitious and demanding. He had little patience for incompetence and was known to be unapologetically aggressive in business negotiations. This same mentality extended to his personal life. To the outside world, Jose was a successful executive and devoted family man. But behind closed doors, he was a strict authoritarian father. His expectations for his sons, Lyle and Erik, were unforgivingly high. He pushed them toward excellence in academics, sports, and personal discipline. Failure was not an option, and he was known to be harshly critical when they fell short of his standards. Rumors and allegations suggest that his strict parenting may have gone beyond just high expectations. During the trial, the Menendez brothers alleged that their father subjected them to years of physical, emotional, and even sexual abuse. While these claims remain highly debated, they paint a picture of a household ruled by fear and control rather than love and support. Mary Louise, Kitty, Anderson Menendez was born in 1941 in Oak Lawn, Illinois, a suburban town outside Chicago. She was a strikingly beautiful and ambitious young woman, known for her charm and intelligence. She attended Southern Illinois University, where she majored in communications and eventually met Jose. Before settling into married life, Kitty had dreams of being an actress or television broadcaster. But those aspirations were quickly sidelined as she stepped into the role of wife and mother. She dedicated herself to raising Lyle and Erik, but those closest to her noticed cracks in her seemingly perfect life. Kitty was known to be fiercely protective of her sons, sometimes even overly indulgent to counteract Jose's rigid parenting. But at the same time, she struggled with her own demons. Friends and family recalled her frequent battles with depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, particularly alcohol and prescription medication. Some accounts suggest that Kitty was deeply unhappy in her marriage. While she enjoyed the luxuries that came with Jose's success, she reportedly felt isolated, controlled, and emotionally neglected by her husband. As time went on, her emotional stability deteriorated. She reportedly attempted suicide multiple times, and her increasing dependence on alcohol made her volatile and unpredictable. She was said to swing between being a warm, loving mother and a detached, unstable figure. Some family friends even described her as emotionally abusive, alternating between adoration and harsh criticism of her sons. Despite these personal struggles, she worked tirelessly to maintain the illusion of a perfect family. From the outside, the Menendezes looked like the ideal American dream: a powerful husband, a beautiful wife, and 2 accomplished sons. But inside their lavish Beverly Hills mansion, the reality was far more complicated. By the late 1980s, the Menendez family was living in the exclusive Beverly Hills neighborhood of North Elm Drive, surrounded by wealth and privilege. They owned multiple properties, including a vacation home in Calabasas, and their sons attended elite private schools. Lyle was studying at Princeton, while Erik was an aspiring professional tennis player. To the public, the Menendez family appeared to be the embodiment of success and prestige. But for those who looked closer, signs of dysfunction were impossible to ignore. Jose's strictness, Kitty's emotional instability, and the alleged underlying abuse created a home filled with tension, fear, and resentment. Some who knew the family sensed that something was deeply wrong, but few could have predicted how the pressure would ultimately erupt in a brutal crime that would shock the nation. While many still debate whether Lyle and Erik Menendez were victims or cold-blooded killers, one thing remains undisputed. The Menendez family was a ticking time bomb, and when it finally exploded, it left a trail of devastation that would haunt the world for decades. The brutal murder of Jose and Kitty Menendez wasn't a standard homicide, it was an execution. Forensic reports revealed that Jose was shot 5 times, including a fatal shot to the back of his head. He had no defensive wounds, suggesting he never saw it coming. Kitty's death was even more savage. Initially shot in the leg, she attempted to flee, only to be shot again and again, her body riddled with bullets as she struggled. The final shots were delivered at point-blank range. Investigators determined that the murder weapon was a 12-gauge shotgun. This was no ordinary hit. It was overkill driven by rage. And then there was the ammunition. The shotgun shells used were extremely rare, sold at only a few stores in Los Angeles. As police scoured local gun shops, they stumbled upon a chilling lead. Just days before the murders, two young men had purchased the same brand of shotgun shells. Their names? Lyle and Erik Menendez. More red flags emerged. The brothers initially claimed they had gone to the movies that night, but their timeline didn't quite add up. Then there was the spending, a spree that included Porsches, luxury watches, and a new business venture. But what sealed their fate wasn't forensic evidence or surveillance footage. It was a confession. Just months after the murders, Erik, consumed by guilt, confessed everything to his psychologist. He admitted that he and Lyle had pulled the trigger. But there was more. He claimed they had suffered years of horrific abuse at the hands of their father. Was this a desperate fabrication? Or was it the key to understanding why two brothers would slaughter their own parents? From the start, the Menendez case baffled investigators. The crime scene lacked signs of forced entry, and the victims' wealth made them unlikely targets of a random burglary. Detectives began focusing on those closest to the couple, especially their sons. At first, Lyle and Erik played the part of grieving children, but their extravagant spending soon drew scrutiny. Investigators used forensic accounting to track their post-murder purchases, expensive cars, luxury watches, and even a lavish tennis coach for Erik. This financial behavior contradicted genuine grief. To tighten their case, detectives used psychological pressure. They subtly let the brothers know they were being watched, leading Erik to spiral into paranoia. This was a crucial turning point. In a moment of weakness, Erik confessed to his psychologist, but there was a problem: doctor-patient privilege. Unless the therapist felt there was an imminent threat, he couldn't legally disclose the confession unless someone else leaked it first. While circumstantial evidence pointed to the Menendez brothers, forensic limitations complicated the case. The shotgun, the murder weapon, had been disposed of and was never recovered. However, ballistic experts confirmed that the rare shotgun shells used in the crime were purchased by Lyle and Erik before the murders. Blood spatter analysis revealed that the assailants had likely changed clothes immediately after the shooting, eliminating crucial DNA evidence. Without concrete forensic proof, prosecutors relied on behavioral evidence, such as the brothers' lavish spending, to establish motive. In modern times, advanced forensic techniques like trace DNA analysis and digital forensics might have strengthened the case. But in 1989, investigators relied on confessions, witness testimony, and circumstantial patterns. Ultimately, it wasn't forensic science that led to their arrest. It was their own words. When news broke that Lyle and Erik Menendez were the prime suspects in their parents' murder, the nation was divided. The idea that two privileged young men could brutally murder their parents shocked the public. Some saw them as spoiled, greedy killers. Others suspected something more sinister. Were they victims of a deeper family tragedy? In Beverly Hills, fear lingered. If two wealthy boys could commit such a crime, was anyone truly safe? Rumors swirled about the Menendez household, whispers of strict discipline, family dysfunction, and a controlling father. The public was hooked, desperate to understand what had truly happened behind those mansion walls. The Menendez case became a media sensation, one of the earliest trials to be televised live. The story had everything: wealth, murder, family betrayal. Tabloids painted the brothers as spoiled monsters, but others sympathized with their claims of abuse. Court TV turned the trial into a national spectacle, with millions watching every twist and turn. News anchors debated whether the brothers' claims of childhood trauma were genuine or a desperate attempt to avoid a life sentence. One thing was certain: the Menendez brothers had become infamous. The world was watching, and the verdict would be history in the making. As the trial unfolded, two competing narratives emerged. Prosecutors painted Lyle and Erik Menendez as cold-blooded killers, spoiled, entitled sons who murdered their parents to gain access to the family fortune. Their extravagant spending spree immediately after the crime only fueled this theory. However, the defense presented a chilling alternative. The brothers weren't murderers driven by greed, but victims of years of unspeakable abuse. They claimed that Jose Menendez was a tyrannical father, one who not only demanded perfection, but allegedly subjected his sons to extreme physical and sexual abuse. Kitty, they argued, was complicit, aware of the abuse, but unwilling to stop it. This claim divided the nation. Some believed the brothers were telling the truth, that they had lived in constant fear. Others saw their defense as an elaborate fabrication, a desperate ploy to manipulate the jury. Were they murderers, or were they broken boys who saw no other escape? The Menendez trial was unlike any before it. One of the first to be broadcast live, it captivated millions. Lyle and Erik testified in their own defense, breaking down on the stand as they detailed years of alleged abuse. Their graphic testimonies led to a mistrial, as jurors could not unanimously decide between first-degree murder or manslaughter. In their retrial, the judge ruled that evidence of abuse could not be used to justify murder, crippling the defense. This time, the jury convicted both brothers of first-degree murder. In 1996, Lyle and Erik Menendez were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Even decades later, debate lingers. Was justice truly served? Or did the system fail to acknowledge the complexities of abuse and its psychological effects? Despite their conviction, unanswered questions remain. If the brothers truly suffered years of abuse, why did they never attempt to escape or seek help? Could their actions have been a mix of trauma and self-preservation? Others question the fairness of their sentence. Should they have received life without parole, or should mitigating circumstances have led to a lighter punishment? Decades later, the Menendez brothers remain in prison, but their case continues to spark debate. Did justice prevail, or was this a tragedy with no real winners? The Menendez murders shattered the illusion of wealth as a shield from tragedy. The case highlighted the hidden dysfunction within affluent families and forced conversations about abuse, mental health, and the legal system's handling of trauma survivors. The trial's media spectacle also paved the way for modern crime coverage, shaping the way the public engages with true crime today. Most chillingly, the Menendez case remains a cautionary tale, a reminder that behind closed doors, even the most privileged families can hide dark, unfathomable secrets. And so, we end our journey into one of the most shocking cases in American crime history. But now, it's your turn to weigh in. What key piece of evidence led detectives to suspect the Menendez brothers? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.